Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Melee Monkeys. Co-host Brasher.
Hey guys, what's up?
Tonight we have no guest, and that's too bad for y'all. But I think you'll enjoy just a classic Melee pod. Basically, what we're going to talk about is just we don't have a ton to talk about, like we've said previous, but we do have some new things to talk about, which is kind of nice. We actually took down heroic blast furnace, which was quite interesting, to be honest. Like we kind of talked about how sometimes we do need to just make the raid a little bit smaller to kind of help us through, and it was really surprising to me only because like we actually did have a smaller group. We with that smaller group we actually did push kill, and I mean it's unfortunate that we have a full group, I guess. But I think having that small group really helped us push through that. So
Yep,
so
definitely.
yeah, so let's. I know we talked a little bit about blast furnace, like when we were doing attempts where Brash actually wasn't even there. So
hmm
now that you were there and you kind of experienced what the hell is going on, um, what what were your impressions of the fight?
it's about the same as when I first saw it. Like, it's one of those fights where there's ads everywhere, but you don't necessarily need to kill them. So it makes me want to run Bladestorm, and you really need to run Bladestorm to get a good rank, like good log to pad the meters, basically.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking of it more of a DPS perspective. Mechanics wise, it didn't seem too bad to me. Like, I kind of got to miss the learning period for the guild. So like I got to see like the best kind of attempts so far,
yeah.
which was nice. So it didn't seem too bad. I'm sure you guys had some issues with some of the minor stuff um, through all the phases. There's tons of little things. Actually, there was one point where there was like I got something and I had never gotten it before, and I'm like I had
Oh
no
yeah,
idea what to do.
yeah.
Um,
Rupture.
and I ran it away and I ran it towards the elemental, and it was like it blew up and it was in the ground. I'm like, oh, that's that one that does that.
Yeah.
So I kind of screwed it up, but it was like there was a little bit of room for melee, so it was all good.
Yeah, that was actually really funny because you're like, oh, "What do I do?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, get out!" And then I didn't specify, but I didn't even
No,
say anything. I was just like, "Get the fuck out!" And it was like, we're like, "Okay." And then yeah, it's now you know. So,
yeah,
uh, yeah, it's yeah, you did come in like at a good time because you kind of, even though you missed those little things like rupture and whatever, it's like it wasn't like a game changer as it would be from maybe some other monkeys. Like you kind of figure things out pretty quick, and most of those little things it doesn't really affect you anyways generally.
yeah,
Um, so I think that was fine, and we were missing your yes a lot of those attempts, and
yeah,
I think having
definitely.
them was having your DPS was definitely helpful.
Because I remember like the first night of attempts on that, like a month ago, we had Day and we had me, and we were like just nuking all the ads right between the
Yeah,
two of us, and you were doing good AOE too, and uh, and then we kind of both went MIA, and like you guys just did it without as much AOE, and then I came along, and I guess it was just enough to push us over.
yeah.
Although I didn't run Bladestorm on the kill because reasons I don't know why exactly, but uh,
Yeah, the I know that while we were killing ads before the second phase even happened, um, I had dropped a rupture pretty close to the elemental. Um, I don't know if that was the fight before. I don't know if it was me that did that, but I knew it was pretty close. We were able to like I remember I was standing there. I was like, I can hit him here, and you were on the opposite side, and you're like, it was hard for you to attack him on the other side, and so it was like I was kind of derping. I was just trying to find a clear space, and at that point, we were transitioning. So that was my bad. But
right.
we didn't. It was. I think it was fine.
Yeah,
It
it
was.
didn't wipe us or anything.
No, I don't think so. Um, so I guess I'll just kind of give a quick like little spiel about the fight in case people aren't familiar with it. Basically, there's three phases. The first phase you kind of just like everybody runs these bombs, and you gotta close the doors of the furnace to push to the second phase. And during the first phase, bombs, you gotta kill these ads and that kind of stuff. Just typical uh, mechanics at first. And then the second phase, you push, and then you kind of gotta drag these slag elemental to the primal elementalist. You DPS the slags down. They go kaboom. They drop the elementalist shield, and then you gotta just nuke the absolute shit out of them. There's four of them, so you gotta do that 4 times. While trying to clean up ads in between, because these fire callers they heal and all that kind of stuff. And then once those are all down, you kind of just kill the final dude that spawns there. So he drops shit on people. He does the debuff's called Melt. It just drops a pool, pretty decent sized pool of bad stuff that you don't want to be standing in. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the fight. It's I mean, it can get pretty hectic when there's too many fire callers out and stuff like that, because the healing can just be I'm sure can just be a gong show. I know Sebfi, who we had on the show previous, has talked about it. It's kind of a she has a strong dislike for the fire callers.
Yeah.
So basically, I guess what did you find? Do you find that fight pretty fun?
I don't mind it. I wish it was more clear on like to run single target or not single target. Like I wish I don't know why, but some mechanic that basically forced you to try to do more single target, because I end up running single target talents, and thus I could like nuke the fire callers. I could nuke specific things that we needed dead now, and I think that really helped with the kill. Like getting the elementalists down, and yeah, the fire callers, and the boss at the end too. Like I could run way better execute damage and whatnot. But it's definitely a fight where you can definitely get by if you run all the AOE.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're I don't know, overall, I don't know, whatever, good enough, and that kind of bugs me. But the fight, I like it. I don't know why. I like running the bombs. I wasn't sure exactly at first, coming back, like, you know, skipping all the progress that you guys did. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be running the bombs or not, because like I remember on the first attempts I'd run the bombs sometimes, but not every time, because sometimes I wanted to do more DPS or whatever. And Large pointed out that we were supposed to run the bombs always, so like I became like designated bomb runner, which is fine because it made it more like solid instead of it just being flaky, and that definitely tightened up our strat.
Yeah.
But I do like the fight. Yeah, I enjoy it definitely.
Yeah, because it seems like it's kind of 50-50 on who like liking and hating the fight. Like, for me, I kind of like it. I mean, there's nothing really that I hate about it. I guess it's just kind of like I'm not a huge fan of having to drag a slag elemental over, and that's just because it's not really the mechanic that bothers me. It's just like I guess the people that aren't always paying attention, and they move to the dude, and it causes a little bit of a slowdown. And also, I guess in heroic, I guess it might happen in normal. I don't even. The longer you take in the second phase, the more damage the final dude does, which I didn't even know until we got the kill, basically. So, just having people pay a little bit more attention to getting those slags over, would I think help. Just very minor, but I think it would be helpful. I guess that's the only thing I really like, just in our raid. But yeah.
Yeah, like. Sorry, go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I like the fight.
I was gonna say, I think on the kill with the slags, when we really needed them, people ran to them and they hit, and it really lined up. It really clicked on the kill, which was nice. I think we killed every elementalist on the first try.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty nice, which wasn't exactly the case on the prior attempts. Also, I was going to say, like, DKs have it awesome on that fight for damage. Like, you run your best single target thing, Necroplague, right? But you also get to, like, do massive AoE. Just kind of, like, automatically, and it's pretty awesome.
Well, what's funny is, like, I believe I topped that fight by...
Yes, a lot.
By quite a bit. But, like, we both, like, my ranking wasn't very good. and
No,
neither was yours. And like it was kind of like, oh,
I
well,
don't know why your ranking wasn't very good, but I know why mine wasn't. It's because I wasn't running Bladestorm. Period.
yeah, that's
I
true.
was looking at some of your damage done, and it was like completely like, yeah, 52% was Necroplague. It's crazy. A lot of it too. Like you did so much damage to the Slag Elementals. I did like very little. I think I did top boss damage, which was like the heart of the mountain at the end, which obviously I get to
Yeah,
execute.
get the execute.
Yeah, so that was nice. I felt useful there at
Well,
least.
I mean, speaking of that, you were pretty useful killing those last two elementalists, though, because like that very last one we were doing, it was like coming down to the wire, and you
Yeah.
were just like, "Oh my god, execute, execute!" And you were just
I
like,
think I got some big crits, and I think I might have like, yeah, personally helped a lot.
"Yeah, I think you did," because it was pretty clutch. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, and what's awesome about that fight is like the fact that we got the kill. It kind of brought everybody back, you know, and like we were all like kind of nerd screaming like to ourselves and stuff. Like I know, and it's just like I don't know. It was just like it was kind of nice to be back in that again. You know? Like it's
Yeah,
been
I
so
agree.
long.
Well, it was an interesting night. It was Monday, right?
Yeah,
And I wasn't even sure if I was going to raid because of family things, and um, I joined the raid, and it was a pretty small like group. We had like 15 people maybe,
hmm
and I was like, okay, it's gonna be a rough night, right? But for whatever reason, we had actually quite a few of our strong players, right? We weren't, sometimes when you have a small group, you end up with, not necessarily the strong players, which suck, or you're missing tanks or vital
yeah,
healers, and it's
totally.
not very good. But that night we had like quite a few of the strong people, and it was kind of nice. As much as I say I like large raids, like big 30 mans that are awesome,
Mm.
on a fight like that, I guess it's nice to have a small raid once in a while.
Yeah,
Do that.
I think it was definitely necessary um, to get us the kill. I mean, I here's a question actually. Do you think that Blast Furnace is gonna be the same as Iron Maiden? The fact that it doesn't get easier as we keep doing it.
No, I think it's going to be one of those. It's a strictly this is actually logical. Um, I think it will be way easier because as we get more gear, the elementalists will die way easier, right? Um, and we'll all be able to do more AoE as we get more and more lenient with gear, which will take away all the raid damage or some of it, right? So it'll become easier and easier. The mechanics will become easier, I believe. People will still die to specific things that kill you, but the overall raid damage will come down, I believe, and the time of the fight, which always helps. Whereas friggin' Iron Maidens, the time of the fight is always 10 minutes long. Like it never gets shorter, it seems. There's always 3 boat phases, and the end's always a gong show. Doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because like on normal we can just like kind of fudge that third boat, and it's just like it's really nice to actually skip that third boat and like maybe we'll get to that point, but like probably not until the next tier. You know what I mean? So, um, and like yeah, and like they said in chat there, it's I'm not sure like how geared everybody is, but it seems like generally people that have shown up are pretty close to got all of their pieces. Like tonight, I finally got the last piece I needed, which was like trinket. It's not best in slot because we haven't killed Blackhand yet, but like I'm basically done. I'm at 685 and higher, and I'm sure a lot of people are quite close to the same. But I
Yeah.
I think you're right though. I think Blast Furnace will become a little bit easier, and that's what I'm kind of hoping because I kind of want a little bit of a bigger group now that we've killed it. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty okay with having a bigger group and getting everyone a kill, basically. I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
Actually, one thing I wanted to say, which I know we talked about, like in whispers, but when you're on the job of calling out, like to swap to elementalists to get them dead,
mhm.
you got to be on that. Like you got to be like an asshole about it. Just everyone on this now, like 100 times, right?
Yeah.
Because I swear people will miss it. They'll still miss it, even if you say it like that. They'll still, forget to do it, and you can almost see it, right? Sometimes when everyone's on the ball, that mob just dies, just melts, right?
Mhm.
And then the other times it's like, okay, clearly people aren't swapped because it's not dying.
Yeah. That's I've generally been pretty good with calling out other things as when I'm tanking and stuff because I feel like
Right.
I have that authority. And I know Large had whispered me and was just like, "Yo, you just gotta do it. Just be a dick about it." I'm like, okay, and like I was getting a little bit more comfortable doing it at the end there, last attempt, and I definitely want to get better, and I think I'll just kind of ignore that feeling of the not having authority because I think I've established a place now in Monkey for being an off tank and all this other stuff that I feel like I should have that a little bit of authority and I should just do it. I should just call it out and just be like, bam,
Yep.
let's get it done.
And you definitely are one of the like highest people for calling out. Like, there's Joel, there's Large, there's Arculos when he's around. He's great at calling out.
Oh yeah.
But you're like right there on the list, right? You're
Hmm.
you're up there. Like I'm not there. I don't. I have the same issue. Like if I'm not tanking or really controlling, I feel like I can't call stuff out
Yeah.
with any like authority kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely. I mean, it's a hard job, but you definitely are good at it.
Thank you. I mean, I try because I and when I and also like when I say like I want that authority or whatever to do it,
Mhm.
it's not I want to be above anybody else. It's just I
No.
want people to, I guess, I guess it's more about respect. I guess just respect that I'm doing this job to try and help us. Like, please help me help you, kind of thing. I guess. Uh,
Mhm.
and and yeah, and I just gotta. I think yeah, I just gotta do it. I just gotta not be pill farting around and being afraid of voicing what we're doing, like calling out. If, especially if Joel or Large asks me, it's basically um, giving me an authority role. So uh, yeah, I will work on that for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing like I always liked about Large. Like in some ways he can be a bit harsh, but in others like he will call stuff out, and you need a little bit of that, right? Like,
Oh,
and
totally.
sometimes he'll call people out, and I don't totally mind it. I guess I'm lucky he never calls me out on much, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
I do think it's needed a little bit.
Oh, and I think I've said this in one of our first pods, but like I originally didn't really like Large
He's an asshole.
when I first met him, just because of I thought he was too harsh and I didn't really know him and stuff, and so but now after playing with him for so long and like, getting to know him quite well, I fully agree. Like that stuff is and raiding with Monkey in general, like I hadn't done any raiding or whatever. Yeah, I totally agree. It's definitely needed. Sometimes you gotta be a dick. You gotta just be straight up with people. Otherwise, they're either not gonna listen or learn or whatever, And like, and I think that's one of the reasons why Joel and Large work so well. Because Joel's more of the like, I'm just letting everybody know that somebody, not personal or anything. Like he's doing the nice guy thing, and Large is gonna be like, don't stand in shit, otherwise get the fuck out kind of thing. Like he's never really said that, but he's they're opposite in the way they approach things, and I think that's a really good combination. Um, and so I really appreciate them doing what they putting up with a lot of crap, to be honest. So shout outs to them.
Yep, definitely.
So
It's
yeah.
hard. I mean, I've had a few raid leaders in playing WoW, and like, um, it's a tough job. Like if you can just do it and hack it, that's the biggest thing. Because like, and Joel does a good job of that. Like, I can't do it. I tried to raid lead a couple times. I just cannot do it. Like, it's so much stress. You got to manage people. It's just impossible.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you remember the couple times I tried. It's like I can't even. I'm trying to talk to them, but everyone's talking over me. I'm just like, okay, I gotta tell them to shut up,
Yeah.
but I can't because like they know what they're doing, so I can't necessarily say anything. But I am raid leading. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
cluster.
Well, I remember. Well, off topic, but I remember when we were trying to do that
Whoops.
World War run together. There was one person in particular that was not exactly helping to try to get it organized. They were kind of doing their own thing, ignoring us basically, because it was basically me and you raid leading it or trying to. And uh, even though it was like just a bunch of monkeys in a pretty small group, I had a hard time. and I thought I
Yeah.
would be totally fine because I feel like I'm more of a leader type, and I felt like I could do it. But
Yeah.
again, it was more of that like I didn't have any authority, nor like it felt like I didn't have any respect, and it felt like which was weird too because I would have felt like would have had the more respect because you known them longer and stuff, but like
Yeah.
that wasn't really the case. It was kind of weird.
I
Um,
think the issue specifically in that one was I hadn't raided Ulduar when it was relevant, so I didn't really know what the hell was going on. And
that's true.
most of the rest of the raid had, so they were kind of correcting me on little things, right? Which didn't really matter necessarily. Um, Not like we got the kill anyways, so like I didn't really do a good job, but it kind of beyond the point. Like some of the things they were correcting on, I think, and it kind of demeaned or like devalued my role or whatever.
Yeah.
So then I just kind of like after that point I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not even gonna do this, and basically never did it again. I still want to do that one day, but it's hard.
Oh yeah, totally. It's yeah, it's definitely stressful. It's yeah, and this is really late delay, but yeah, on that blood, oh my God, if you're talking about the blood ritual that you died on, funny thing was is I swear you were right behind me, Stealth, and I was like, when you died, I was like, the fuck, because I swore you were right behind me, but I guess it must have been like a pixel off. Well, and to be honest, Stealth, you may have been the only person that was having issues because everyone else seemed to be fine finding me. I don't know, but it was it's fine. Everyone
Yeah,
everyone
I
seems to do it differently.
yeah. On the normal phase before 20%, it was fine doing blood with you.
Mhm.
At the end, it's always hard, so it didn't
Oh
really
yeah,
matter.
I hate at the end because it was there's and by the way we're talking about basically like there was that one point where um we were moving the dudes away from the turret, but then the stupid chick was doing blood ritual right at the same time, right beside a turret. I'm like, fuck, okay, what am I gonna do? So I tried to take the blood ritual to the face, and I guess Ren was in the way, and or something, or it was on Ren, I'm not sure, but he died, and I felt kind of bad, but like I didn't know, I tried my best anyway. So, well, I know you're not being a dick at all, Stealth. I'm just giving you my perspective on what I felt was going on. That's all.
I was trying to type this, but I can't because I'm really good at typing. I was just gonna say though, like the chat, even though like you might not think it's good, like just you guys saying anything is amazing because it just feeds us a little bit, like gives us
Oh
more
yeah.
content to talk about. It's great.
Oh yeah, like that's what chat is what makes this a thing. Like if we didn't have you, we basically have no pod. You guys, I say this almost every time, but you guys make the pod.
Yeah,
Um, so
and I'd rather have dicks in here than no dicks.
yeah, pretty much. Uh, so yeah. Anyways, yeah. So back to Septi,
You had
please.
like no reaction to that. I'm like waiting for Seth to say something.
Oh God, it just got interesting.
Uh,
Sevti is excited by all things dick shaped, I guess. Um,
Especially banana hammocks. Apparently.
banana hammocks, well supported, well supported. Well, we might as well. I yes, Sevti is fact.
We think so.
Yeah. You know what? You know what though, Stealth? It wouldn't matter if she was a man or not, because or a woman or not, because if she was a man and she liked the dick, that's okay too. You know, love for
And
everybody.
Enkill, I don't know what Enkill likes, so that doesn't confirm anything.
That is very true. That is very true. We might have to get him back on and ask him a couple questions.
Confirm or deny.
Yeah. But basically, I just want to come back to Blast Furnace just a little bit. Basically, uh, we we got the kill. I can't remember at the end. We had pretty much everybody alive. I think two people were dead, and Kill and somebody else died at the end. Um, so and it's funny, like basically, you know, with the monkeys, we really do need everybody alive, basically, to get a kill. Like, if maybe one or two people dead is bad, but like we tend to get a kill still, but like we really need everybody alive, and that just kind of shows that like it's kind of nice actually, just because like it kind of shows that not it's not just a couple people carrying the entire raid, you know. And I never felt that, but like it is still a huge group effort, which is kind of cool. It's not just a few people carrying. They're obviously our top tier DPS and healers and stuff, but it's not always carrying, especially in a smaller group. So I felt that was cool. Oh yeah, that's right. Sevti brought this up in a whisper. Basically, um, the tanks. I agree. The tanks were moving just a little bit too quick because there was still.
Sorry, what kill? What fight?
Blast furnace at the last phase
Oh yeah.
because of the kite because the melt is getting dropped behind or whatever, and I felt they were moving just a little bit too quick because there was still like a shit ton of room at one point. Like I think it was when we were coming around the second corner, heading back to where largest side starts on the right there. We were coming back there, and it felt like we were going just a bit too quick, and it was probably just a lot of like they wanted to be a bit cautious maybe. Um, oh, I see. Yeah, but obviously getting out of range of healers doesn't exactly help the cautiousness.
I felt like the speed was fine. I mean, I can't speak for the ranged, but there was never a time where I was standing on bad stuff as melee, which is always nice. And we didn't run out of room for the kill, I don't believe.
No.
So it did end up working out. If we went slower, I would be worried that the melee would run out of room because I don't care what happens to the range. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, specifically, I just remember that second corner. We probably could have taken a little bit slower.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is we would have to make the thing, Twiz, is that everybody would actually have to do the job and focus and switch to the primal elementalist at the exact same time and really supposed to do, but less kind of helps. I don't like it. Kind of enables people to kind of not to be slow, which is unfortunate. But like I agree, I think we should save less for the final boss and like or the final phase. But sometimes I guess it'd probably be okay now since most people kind of know the fight. I'm not really sure. It might. I don't know if it would be needed on an element. What do you think, Brash?
Sorry, what was that last bit?
Like using less on an elementalist or using that. You think we?
Where did we use it on our kill?
We use it. We use it on the last element.
Oh, remember that one specifically was really close to not being killed, so we'd have to just play tighter if we didn't have it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think though, but was that the time where Dragon was like, because he used lust twice on accident in the middle of the fight. I'm not sure, but
well, I'll put it this way though: if we use the lust there, right, and boss at the end without lust, so maybe we don't really need it for the boss at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that'll probably just get cleaner and cleaner. Well,
yeah.
In theory, it should be. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would love lust with execute because that's when I save my pot for that and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Not
it's
sure.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a hard thing to know at this point because I have a feeling that they probably wouldn't use it at the 20%. They would probably want to use it at the start of the third phase for whatever reason. Like that's what I just have a feeling. Excuse me. Wow. But I don't know. I'm sure Joel has thought about if like on the final phase would be feasible or not.
Well, it felt like we were dying on the middle phase with all the elementalists and all that crap.
Yeah.
And not so much the final phase. Like we only got to the final phase like twice, right? The first time we wiped and the second time we killed it.
Yeah.
So the final phase is easy. In based on our numbers, it's easy for us. And the middle phase is where it's tough. So I think we are using lust at the correct time. I'm not
But Twiz
Like,
brings up a good point. That third
hmm,
ad did die, or well, the third ad was basically half dead, or it did die before my cooldowns. My 3 minute cooldown was up. So clearly we were already killing things faster and faster. But I think that might have been because of lust in the middle. So
all I know is I was using my 1 minute cooldown to nuke each ad, so it worked out well for that.
yeah, because I unfortunately only have the 3 minute cooldown really.
Yeah.
Um, so oh, you know what I think one of the issues is where like he tells us to use a pot on that second elementalist, and I think people aren't doing that. I
That's true.
think
I didn't.
I think people are,
Guilty.
and that's fine because obviously because we killed it, but like
Hmm.
um, I think that's another thing is like people aren't completely following what like Joel wants us to do. And I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I mean, we got the kill, and I don't want to say like that's an excuse to not do what he wants, I guess. But like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I think if you weren't even using your pot then and we killed it, I don't know. I think there's some things we can do to change it to make
Right.
it so we can save some of our stuff for that final phase to kill the dude.
I
Um,
remember now why I didn't pot on like on the kill only because like on the first two attempts I believe I potted on that ad, and the first attempt was okay. Um, I don't know how much it helped really, but because I was running Blade Storm and whatnot, so I might have not even been single targeting. I don't know. But the second time I popped my pot, and you remember this, um, I popped it and I went to add for like a second and I had to leap away because I had all this shit on me. And it was like twice in a row. I couldn't do anything and then the ad didn't die. And we really needed my damage.
yeah,
And
yeah. I
yeah,
think I think your execute is really strong. Like, and I think that's a lot of what helped us a lot because of those elementalists. Like, you get to execute those ads, and like I said on that final one, it was close, but I think your execute really clutched it out, and I think that was what Day was good for too. He was able to his execute as well, and I think that's really beneficial. So I think without you or without Day, it's going to be pretty tough to actually change our methods. I think
right.
if you're there, we can probably change them a little bit and save our cooldowns for the final phase a little bit more.
Well,
But
it's really annoying too because on some of the attempts, like I would pop like what was I running? Blood Bath. That's it. Bloodbath. Haven't ran it in a long time, but it's my 1 minute cooldown. Right? Pop it, and it basically does 30% extra damage as a bleed for every bit of damage I do. Right? But like sometimes on an ad, I'll swap. I'll have a full bar of rage. I'll dump everything, but then nothing will proc
mhm,
even after dumping stuff. So I'll like do very little damage, and like I needed it now. Like if I miss like two bloodthirst crits, it's just like I'm standing there doing auto attack basically,
yeah,
and it really sucks. And then other times it lines up and it works, and I crit everything, and it's awesome, and the ad melts, and that's great. But we need like everyone on that ad to ensure it always dies. Like that's
yeah.
the thing. You can't rely on a couple people getting lucky,
Oh
basically.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know. It's just definitely beneficial.
yeah.
That's why I said I think without you or Day there, we'd definitely have to stick to those cooldowns the way
Mhm.
Joel says it. Get us to kill the elementalists quick, hopefully. But your two definitely makes it feasible to change it a little bit. Uh,
Yeah, definitely. My single target was very strong with those talents I ran. Like, I it was good. So
yeah. So well, okay. So do you think you're gonna keep sticking with that single target? Or you?
I would
Just
like to have one good rank on that fight, but
yeah,
I don't even know how many more times we're gonna kill it. So
yeah. That's a good
I
point.
kind of at the point where I don't care. Like, I'll probably just run single target again, to hopefully just get the kill. Because what I would really like, even more than a rank, would be the weapon. I want like two of those crit two-handers, so then I can run two-handers with lots of crit,
Mhm.
which makes my rotation more stable, which is awesome. Um, I really want that weapon. I bonus rolled, I got nothing, but that'd be sweet. Because
Yeah.
right now my two-handers have no crit, and it's really painful.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Uh,
Well, because weapon two-handers especially have a lot of crit, or they can, and two-handers are better for AoE, but I'm not proccing as consistently, so I feel like one-handers are better because my one-handers have crit. It's all this crap, but
Yeah,
I wish it was like a little bit less random on the crits.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, there's a lot of RNG that, you know, okay, so this is a point that's been brought up with Iron Maiden, that it really, like, the RNG factor, don't know what RNG is, it's random things that happen. But on Iron Maiden specifically, like, people were making, good points about it kind of depends on the RNG and who gets what in that fight for mechanics wise, like line and stuff that generally helps us get the kill. And like there's a lot of it in obviously in every fight, but like Blast Furnace is a little less random. So it's kind of like it's more like people really have to be on the ball, I guess, a little bit more than not a little bit more than Iron Maidens, because obviously they have the follow mechanic, but a little less RNG, so it's not really dependent on who gets what. It's kind of just people just need to do the job, which
Yeah.
comes back to the point of thinking that Blast Furnace will get easier, because it probably will, because there's not really that RNG factor so much. So that kind of
Right.
makes the fight a little bit easier to manage, I think, with a bigger group.
Yeah. Yeah, like on the kill for Iron Maidens tonight, we had whoever had like the second boat is always the rough boat, and I don't think anyone died during that boat, so that was nice. We had Cauldrus die to a line, I believe, and then we had Joel die on his monk to a melee mechanic, I believe, of some sort. I missed what it was.
I'm pretty sure it was Blood Ritual, because it was very strange. It was somebody else had Blood Ritual. They came around, and I swear I was there. I was closest, but I guess Joel was maybe just a little bit closer, and took it to the face, I think. So,
Right. Yep.
he might have done what I did, one time where I was like constantly tanking, and Joel had come back, and I instinctually went to go take a Blood Ritual to the face because I thought I was still tanking. I was in the tank set, so he might have been kind of thinking the same way, but maybe I'm not sure. But
do you want to talk about Blackhand a little bit?
oh yeah, that's right. We did do some attempts on him. Oh, Blackhand. So it was kind of a joke at first. It's still kind of a joke, but like we went in, it was like we seriously couldn't get through the first like 2 minutes of the fight. Just like we were all like wiping and stuff. The biggest problem I think with that fight is have way too many melee. Really hard to dodge shit that's falling from the sky when there's that many people. And we tried to stack up, and the stack up was okay, but the thing is you brought up a good point where there's just too much delay. Like,
I feel like there is, yeah.
There's different lags, like people are different late, like kind of stuff. So like by the time I move, it could look like I'm way late on somebody else's screen. Well, it's kind of difficult, but like it seemed to help a little bit, but it was probably more like people were kind of like paying attention a little bit more. It's hard to know.
I think, well, okay, when we started stacking up, the people were kind of stacking on you, including myself, like stacking on you, and the cave-ins were generally in the same area as compared to before, where they were kind of everywhere, right? Which makes it impossible to dodge. The problem was, I think, even though they were stacked up, we were all getting hit by everything. Like, it looked cleaner, but it wasn't actually cleaner, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You might have been avoiding them because you obviously have the least delay because you're the one with the marker. But like I'm watching you, and by the time you've moved, the thing right behind you is blowing up. So, and that's where I'm going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
And like it's the timing of the bombs just I think doesn't condone following. You have to have a preset pattern of movement or something. And then everyone moves on their own terms. And that's how I play melee all the time. Like I just go by my own speed, right? And like me and you always call each other out. We're like, "Oh, you're moving so slow," and they're like, "No, you're moving so slow." It's like,
Yeah,
but in the end, it's server delay, right? We're both
completely.
moving pretty quick. Um, that one is there's like no time. I don't know. I don't see following a stack up point working, at least not in the way of blindly just following someone as a stack up point. It's
Yeah,
not going to work like that. You're going to have to react on your own.
yeah, I agree, totally agree. Because that's the thing is, that, like I said, people just need to be paying attention. Just straight up need to be more aware of what's going on. It's just
But those
can't.
things are hard to dodge.
Well, I know.
When it's all spread out on melee, you got nowhere to go. You have to go to melee range.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel. Um,
And I'm assuming it's about the same for range too, right? Because it's the same mechanic following them, and they're trying to move, and they're all getting hit also. So I'm not really sure how to do it. Like I've seen mythic kills, and they're running their ass off the entire first phase. Like they're in the middle of the range, they're running, and they just like never stop. It seems just the whole time, just running and running and running. Never like literally never stop moving. And the melee, I'm not really sure. It seems like they're not moving as much, but I don't know. Um,
well, it's, most of the mythic kills, I think they have next to no LA. They have like a road.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, like it took 20 kills or something before melee got in. Melee DPS at least. It's a joke. Other than a rogue, rogues made it in because rogues are awesome. But
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I agree, Twiz, that I think we need a similar group that we had for Blast Furnace on one hand. Just because there is kind of a ton of stuff going on, it would help, especially melee. I think help dodge stuff because I know I was getting hit quite a bit from stuff, the debris coming. I try to avoid it as much as possible, but when you have a bunch of melee, including pets, it gets hard to see. So, and I don't know. I think I would say most melee probably would try to get out to survive, get out of melee range, and just try to survive, especially during. I think hope anyway.
it's like Sev saying, it's like I don't really get how I'm supposed to maintain heals, like do things while staying with a group. And I kind of feel the same way. It's like I don't get how melee is supposed to stay in melee range and DPS the entire time and stay alive. It seems not really possible. It would be if there was like one melee. I think I could do it fine, or like two or three, even or four, maybe even. But with the amount we had, it was like the entire melee around the boss was just all cave-ins constantly. You just took them to the face, or you ran out. And I didn't really ever run out because I don't really do that. But I mean, in that case, maybe it's required. But I feel like if we're doing that, maybe we won't meet some sort of berserk. But it is only heroic, so maybe berserks don't matter. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It was like basically we try not to name names just because we respect people.
I'm not gonna name any names, but Twiz is a dick.
Well, I think we've said that a couple of times, so that's okay.
Oh wait, our only shadow priest is a dick. There.
Yeah, there you go. Um, yeah, it's basically it's definitely an interesting, and I know we have some range chat, and I want to know your guys' like main perspective. Like obviously Seb says you're running around, you don't really know how you're gonna heal, but like it seems that there's an issue with range getting behind the debris and getting the axes thrown. Like I'm not really sure what's going on. Obviously, because I can see it. Um, so
Yeah, if they have the same issues as we have, like they're gonna have to be stacked up like tight to make it work. And then if they're reacting to things on their own will, they're gonna maybe go to a different pile, like thing to get behind, so they don't get access. So yeah, it's hard.
yeah,
Definitely seems like not a very monkey friendly fight.
which is unfortunate. It's just kind of how it seems like if there's a lot of movement involved, it tends to be um, and there's a combinations of reasons are quote unquote bad. Just comes down to probably probably the main reason either they're kind of at a point where they just don't care, or they're not really willing to be better because they're comfortable with what they change, that kind of stuff. That's what I'm assuming is the main reasons. That's totally just my speculation. That's not at all fact, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just
we've had lots of pod talk about people and improving and not improving and stuff like that.
yeah. And like you try to help people and they're just like, no. Talked about that too. So
Yes,
um
definitely.
I so I think I don't until we trim the raid for Black Hand, I don't think it's not going to be more than what we had for Blast Furnace, to be honest. And it's really unfortunate because rock people, but I think that's what it take to progress. Just straight up.
Well, Stealth, what you said there with people calling out specifics, Large, I don't know if he does it anymore, but he used to do it a little bit, and I thought it was good. And Monkey Business has gotten more casual over time. Yeah, I would agree with that too. And I would say also at the same time that Monkey is probably like we progress fairly well for how casual we are. That's response to Stealth's comment there about like do any nice skills progress in Mythic, and I think we do pretty good for how nice we are, for how casual we are. In all honesty, you go into another guild that's 3 or 4 bosses behind us, and most of them will be full of assholes, and ones on par will be like assholes and also elitists, and very much like all about the numbers and stuff. It's very odd. Yeah, but it's been a long time since I tried other guilds. I can't say too much.
Yeah, I mean, and we talked a little bit about this too. Like, what was it saying? Having having to sit people fresh and fight. It is unfortunate that it comes to that, but I kind of agree. Like if we really do want to progress as a guild, we do need to take some stronger people, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a 10-man, but we do need a smaller group run. I think, excuse me, I think Joel made a good call with, changing it up and doing Promog and tonight. We did get a little bit of practice on Black. I think it was a good call. Hopefully, because the interesting thing is like on Iron Maiden, or not, sorry, Blast Furnace, when we got the kill, all we did was we literally switched out a healer and got Twiz basically, and it actually made the difference, and it was kind of strange, but like it's just how it is sometimes. You small change, and you can definitely see the difference. And obviously, you don't have to like cut every person think is bad or whatever. Just small adjustments, and you do what you think works. It works, you know.
I was going to say something a little bit devil's advocate, but if you cut the raid down to 10 people, let's just say, theoretically, is that really progressing the guild? You know what I mean? That's 10 people of the guild. So, I don't know. And when Monkey used to drop down to 10 man, like in Dragon Soul, let's say, I was a fairly good player at the time. I didn't get a spot. I did not get a spot in 10 man, and it wasn't because of my performance or anything. It was because I wasn't necessarily in that niche group. And so yeah, that's why I'm kind of against it. I know it's not. That's kind of like long past because we have flex now, and I'd probably always get a spot or whatever. In all seriousness, actually, being serious, I kind of wish at times Monkey wouldn't want to bring me because I can be very inconsistent, and when I'm inconsistent, I feel like okay, maybe they just will be like, no, you can't come because you're inconsistent. But that never happens. That day never happens. Like I kind of want that, but I also wouldn't. Like if it had happened, then maybe I'd be more consistent. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's interesting. Um,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
You kind of have to punish. Like that's
A
the thing.
little bit.
That's the thing is
Yeah.
like you do have to punish people a little bit for them to learn. I feel like that's just the thing. It's kind of like it's kind of dealing with children. Almost. It's kind of weird, but
Well,
that's
yeah, definitely.
it's just like that's a thing that some people need. You know, they need a little bit of a. I mean, you always obviously you perform well and you do your job and whatever. But like I said, like sometimes you kind of wish there was a little bit of a, putting their foot down and being like, you know what, uh, we're gonna,
Attendance matters.
yeah,
Attendance totally matters. I know when I don't show up, like it hurts the guild a little bit,
mm-hmm.
and that's one of the reasons why I always like to pass loot, because I feel like okay, if I take all this loot then drop for a couple weeks, I'm gonna feel like shit. The guild's gonna maybe be a little bit mad. Some of the people might be a little bit mad behind the scenes. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna pass. That's fine. I'll do fine without the gear. Um, yeah.
yeah, and yeah, stealth and like I agree too. Like with the little things being called out for the little things, and like, yeah, it was totally a joke. It's just like, but yeah, it was like I did notice that you kind of like decided like you started coming to the raid entrance and stuff, and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. Like, I'm glad that was like it did affect you a little bit, and like again, it's just like I agree. The little things kind of matter, even though people don't think it does for whatever reason. Totally, they totally do. So.
Right. I know. Yeah, like with stealth there, I missed that. That's interesting. So like, you kind of called them out in a joke, which is good. It's the best way to call people out. Um, and yeah, and you kind of like, it's not that you took it badly. You're just like, oh yeah, maybe I should think about doing that because it does kind of help, and it is kind of annoying when people don't show up to raid. Like back in my day, I sound like an old man, but yeah, back in like 40 mans, like you made your way to Molten Friggin' Core, and you had all your shit ready, and that was it. Like you just didn't get a spot if you weren't, like there. And with you did everything possible to get your spot. And now it's not really like that. And I don't think it's just Monkeys either. I think Flex mode has promoted that a little bit, which I think Flex is still worth it. I love Flex, but like yeah, there was a time when you worked your ass off for a spot. Because maybe there was just the player base was bigger and we had enough people to fill, right? It's a weird one.
Yeah, I agree with that, Twiz. If we have issues doing things that we normally do, Rash isn't there, for example, and for whatever reason you just can't do it, there is a problem. I shouldn't be reliant on one or two people that I guess know what they're doing to change something. It needs to be, and that's probably it. That needs to be said too. Is like just fuck up or go home, kind of thing. Every once in a while, it doesn't have to be every single time. It doesn't have to be very harsh or whatever. But people do need to learn if we want to progress as a guild. And obviously, and that's
I don't know. I think Blade should buff melee and make it so I am needed on every fight. Come on now. Melee's never needed.
well, that's not true. I was needed to help kill Chromog that one time.
That's true. You were very helpful in that fight.
Necrotic Plague OP. But yeah, I think that'll be something that'll maybe come around. And I know Joel listens to these and definitely takes what we say into consideration, which is really cool. I mean, we actually get a way of speaking to not only some of the guild, but also like the lead. So calls us out for things we say in pod, but it's totally cool,
You know what we should do? Idea time. I have constant ideas, but I filter them all. Idea. We should maybe like during raid or something. We should just like ask who wants to be on the pod next time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get someone that wants to maybe vent about something, not necessarily like vent, like be annoyed, but just maybe ideas or improvements. I don't know who it would be, but maybe there's someone out there that we wouldn't expect. Because I know sometimes we ask people to be on, and sometimes people ask, but maybe someone wants to be on that doesn't necessarily want to ask. Right?
Yeah, that's true. And that's an interesting point. You know, like I don't know if that would ever be a thing that would happen, but yeah, that's a good point. Probably would have been like, maybe check out this other spec because it would probably help the raid more or whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like that's what I love about this pod is it opens up these avenues for us to
Oh, I want to
explore.
talk about what Stealth said with the combat, like changing specs and whatnot. That's a I feel like that's a holdover a little bit from like previous times in WoW where some specs were completely like necessary and some were completely crap. Like nowadays, even the worst specs are all like passable, right? Like even I don't know, like Gladiator can still do like a decent damage. Almost every spec can do decent damage. But like people are still kind of enforcing that, even though it's not necessarily necessary.
Hmm.
Like I like to keep up to date with all the specs, but um, yeah, like I feel like Monkeys, we let people play what they want to play, and it doesn't really hurt us that much, generally. I think.
Yeah, no, I agree because and that's the thing too is Monkey is a casual guild. I guess but I agree on the same like you should push a little bit more than um ask people to do a little bit more to help the raid if they want to be a part of it. And I guess obviously not to a point where we're elitists or like high-end guild because that's never going to happen in Monkey, and that's totally cool because Monkey family, it's casual, it's a really nice environment to be in. Those elitist guilds and stuff shitty like environmental social shit like that. So but I agree that you could a little bit more, but there's a point. So okay, so we've already talked for almost an hour, so it's kind of crazy. Like, and that's kind of what I liked. I kind of had a feeling that with just us, it would actually be quite a long talk for whatever
Hmm.
reason because I feel like, and it's nothing against the guests at all. It's just like because we know each other in real, generally have longer conversations just with us, and
Right.
I kind of felt, I kind of knew that would happen. Kind of a
Hmm.
nice change.
I wasn't sure. I thought it might be like 10 minutes and we're out of stuff to talk about, but I never.
Oh.
I am Mook. Yes.
So, oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, brushes. But yeah, so I'm
It's a
gonna.
real life nickname, so yeah. You can call me Mook.
You can call him Butt Munch. You can call
No
him.
butt much. Mook, Brash. My real name is Steve, but I don't
Oh God.
necessarily. I don't like that for people. Yeah, I don't
Even
know.
if like I can't even call you that. It's just so uncomfortable for some reason. But anyways,
My parents call me that. I guess
yeah.
that's what it comes down to.
So I'm just gonna wrap up the main pod here. Thank you all for coming in and watching. Please stick around. We'll do a little bit of an after show. It's getting quite past my bedtime, but that's okay. We'll talk a little bit more about random stuff. So please check out our YouTubes. They're right on the screen. Go follow Mook at Mook SRL on Twitch.
Because I stream all the time. Yeah.
And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you stick around. We'll just hop right in.